Throughout this lesson, we're going to look at ICAO Rules of the Air. Annex 2 of the convention that took place in Chicago details the ICAO Rules of the Air. They were published as recommendations for standards, practices, and procedure. The Rules of the Air covers three types of rules: the general rules, visual flight rules, and instrument flight rules. Minimum height. Except for taking off and landing, an aircraft shall not be flown over the congested area of cities, towns, or settlements or an open-air assembly of a person, unless at such a height as will permit, in the event of an emergency arising, a landing to be made without undue hazard to person or property on the surface. Cruising level. The cruising levels at which a flight or a portion of a flight is to be conducted shall be in terms of flight level, for flights above the transition altitude. Altitude, for flights at or below the transition altitude. Dropping or spraying. Nothing shall be dropped or sprayed from an aircraft in flight, except under conditions commanded by the appropriate authority, and as indicated by relevant information, advice or clearance from the appropriate air traffic services unit. Towing. No aircraft or other object shall be towed by an aircraft, except in accordance with requirements commended by appropriate authority and as indicated by relevant information, advice or clearance from the appropriate air traffic service unit. Formation flight. Aircraft shall not be flown in formation, except by pre-arrangement among the pilots in command of the aircraft taking part in the flight and for formation flight in controlled airspace, in accordance with the conditions prescribed by the appropriate ATS authority. These conditions shall include the following: the formation operates as a single aircraft with regard to navigation and position reporting. Separation between aircraft in the flight shall be the responsibility of the flight leader and the pilots in command of the other aircraft in the flight, and shall include periods of transition when aircraft are maneuvering to attain their own separation within the formation and during join-up and breakaway, and a distance not exceeding 1 km, 0.5 nautical miles, laterally and longitudinally, and 30 meter, 100 feet, vertically from the flight leader shall be maintained by each aircraft. Prohibited areas and restricted areas. Aircraft shall not be flown in a prohibited area, or in a restricted area, the particulars of which have been duly published, except in accordance with the conditions of the restrictions or by permission of the state over whose territory the areas are established.